Hey folks, what's going on? My name is William James, and today I want to talk about um, kind of the most important uh, way of thinking about sales, especially when it comes to network marketing. I call this the 7 steps to recruiting or selling anything. And I certainly didn't make these up. They are true across the board, whether you're selling network marketing type of opportunity or a physical product or really anything. And I think 90% of the failure that happens in the network marketing industry is due to people not following these steps. So I want to make a very quick video that goes over this, and I'll try not to blather on and on too much about it. But if you're new to this channel, I make videos about affiliate marketing, network marketing, tutorials, free education and training about how to grow and maintain a business in this area from home. So if you're new to the channel, if you like what you see, please consider subscribing and click that notification button if you want to be notified. All right, so with that said, I want to dive right into it. So what I'm going to talk about today again is basically just these 7 steps, but I want to start with a story before I go into the 7 steps. And the story is back when I was back when I was young, when I was about 22, 23 years old, I guess I must have been. It was 2011, and I just moved to New York City, and I got this job selling haircut, like hair salon coupons. If you've ever been to New York City and you walk through a place called Union Square in Manhattan, there's all these guys that stand out in the middle of this big square. They have a farmer's market there, and people kind of walk through. And basically what we would do is we would stand out in the middle of the square, and we would sell these kind of brochure things, these like pamphlets. There was basically what the idea was is you would buy this thing and you would take it to a hair salon, and it would give you a bunch of free services. So basically we would stop girls on the street and sell them this coupon essentially for $60. And if they bought the coupon for $60, they could go to the hair salon and get a haircut and a facial and a manicure and a massage and, free wine and like this whole, it was like $300 worth of hair services or something for $60, right? And so we would just go out there and stop women on the street and sell them this. And, as you can imagine, that kind of sucks, because who on earth is going to buy that? And you'd be surprised, a lot of people. So if you do it right. So we had a very particular formula for like a script for how we were going to sell these things. And I realized years later that it was really the same formula that we use in network marketing. And it's what I'm about to go over with you now. So basically what we would do, the script would go like this. The girl would be walking by. We'd say, hey, excuse me, where did you get your haircut? And if she stopped and responded, I got my haircut at this salon, then we'd say, oh, that's awesome, cool. Well, we're actually doing this promotion here. We're giving away like 90% off haircuts, facials, manicures. Are you into that kind of thing? Do you like that kind of stuff? That was the line, something like that. And if she said, yeah, of course I do. I'm a girl, I have hair, I need to get a cut, right? Something like that. Then we go, awesome, cool. Well, check it out. And we would pull out the coupon thing, the little booklet, and we'd say, so this is what we're offering. And, we'd do the whole thing where we show her, you get this, and you get this, and you get this, and you get this, and they give you free wine, and they rub your feet, and it's amazing. And it's $60. And then she would have a bunch of questions like, is this real? Is this a scam? Is this even a real hair salon? How do I know that I'm really going to get a haircut? If I buy this from you now, do I have to buy it now, or can I pay at the hair salon? Like, she'd have all these questions, and we would handle all the questions, right? And then if she was satisfied with the answers to her questions, she would give us $60 right there on the street. So I realized, as I said, that exactly the same process is what you do in network marketing. And it works every single time. And if you do anything else, it doesn't work. And it works regardless. It works the same way regardless of where you're getting the people that you're talking to, and whether or not you're talking to one person at a time doing prospecting, like out on Facebook or something, or whether you're buying massive amounts of traffic. It's all the same. It doesn't matter. So let's go through the steps. So the first step is contact. Obviously, if you have to come into contact with a human being, right? Whether that is face-to-face on the street, whether that is buying an ad in order to contact the person. That buying an ad is a form of contact, right? You buy a solo ad, you buy a Facebook ad, you buy a billboard. It doesn't matter what the ad is, a newspaper ad. What you're doing is contacting people. You're establishing a contact between you and somebody else. So that's contact. The second step is communicate, right? Once the person has been contacted, you have to see if they're willing to communicate with you. Now, when we were stopping girls on the street, it's, hey, excuse me, where do you get your haircut? And we could tell immediately if they were open to communicating, because if they weren't, they would just ignore us and keep walking, right? So, and that's the same thing if you're doing online marketing or anything. If you send a message to somebody on Facebook and say, hey, what's going on? How's your day going? And they don't reply, there you have it. They don't want to communicate, right? Now, obviously, there are ways of getting people to be more likely to communicate, right? I mean, if we were to come up to the girl on the street and say, hey, baby, I want to sell you a haircut coupon, is she going to stop? No, she's not going to stop, right? So we came up with this line, hey, excuse me, where do you get your haircut? That it was kind of random and weird, and it was just likely to get their attention, likely to get them to stop and communicate with us and answer the question, right? So yes, there are different ways of getting somebody in communication and figuring out what you're going to say to get somebody to actually respond. That's part of, the art form of this, but it's always the same, right? So are they going to communicate with you? Now, if they're going to communicate with you, then you need to communicate with them. And a lot of the people who struggle in network marketing, a lot of the problem, honestly, is that they themselves are not willing to communicate, right? Like if you're a marketer and you really don't like talking to people or putting yourself out there in some way, like either talking to people one-on-one or making videos like this is a way of communicating. I'm communicating with you right now. I'm putting myself on video, right? People are not willing to put themselves on video, and they don't like talking to people. And if that's you, you're going to have a very hard time with this, right? So if you're not actually willing to communicate, this doesn't work. Our job is finding people who are willing to communicate and then communicating with them, trying to get them in communication. Now, whether you're doing that one-on-one on Facebook or on the telephone or in person, or whether you're doing that by creating really interesting content that's going to get a response from people, it's kind of the same thing, right? If you have you're running ads, you're a big marketer, you're running ads, and you've got a big list of 20,000 people on your email list, and you're sending out really well-written emails and interesting YouTube videos and stuff like that. That's a form of communication with your prospects, right? Because they're feeling like they're getting to know you. If they have questions, they're reaching out to you. You're like that's the sort of communication. But you can also do that one-on-one with Facebook, or texts, or phone, or anything. So you communicate, and then the question is like, how in communication are you getting the person? Like, are they? Oftentimes I do a lot of work on Facebook, right? That's my whole. A lot of what I do, most of what I do, right? I sell a course on how to do this on Facebook. If you want to check that out, it's at williamjamestraining.com. Whole course on this stuff, specifically for Facebook. But it doesn't matter where you're doing it, right? So if I send out a message on Facebook and I'm trying to start a conversation with a person, I'm trying to get a person into communication, and I ask them a question, and they start giving me one-word answers, or like I'll ask a person what they do, tell me about yourself or something, and they'll say, check my Facebook wall, or here's my website, or Or, they'll send me a big long message of, a huge pitch for their company, like, well, I just got involved in this amazing company, and this is the comp plan, and this is, our CEO makes this much money, and blah 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 blah, and there's 10 links, and then that's their reply to, hey, tell me about yourself. Then any of those any of those replies really tell me that that person is not really in communication with me, right? They may have replied to my message, but we're not really communicating because they're not actually answering my question. My question is, hey, tell me about yourself. What do you do, right? And if they say, check my Facebook wall, that's not a response. They're not answering the question. If they say, blah, 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 here's all this technical jibber jabber about my company, they're not answering my question. They're not in communication. So you want to, when you are communicating with someone, you want to try to get your questions answered. And the only way to do that is just ask the question again, right? So if somebody says, I say, hey, tell me about yourself, and they say, check my Facebook wall, I could be like, yes, I did check your Facebook wall. I was checking that out. I just wanted to hear a little bit more from you. So what can you tell me about yourself? I'll just rephrase the question and see if I can get them to answer it until the question is answered. Most people don't do that. This is where most people, it falls apart at this step. They go, the person will give them some evasive kind of non-answer to the question, and they'll just accept that as an answer. And they'll either go, oh, I don't know what to say to that now, and they'll stop talking to the person, or they'll get pulled into the person's, if someone answers a question with a question, and instead of getting your question answered, you start answering their question, you allow them to derail the conversation. You see, you can't do that. You have to be getting your questions answered. So that's communication. That's step 2. So what question should you be asking? Well, there's different schools of thought about this, and it kind of depends on what you're selling. If you're selling something that is kind of a hard sell, then, for a lot of these types of network marketing deals, you really need to build up some trust and some communication before you start talking about whatever it is that you're offering. And you want to try to get people, there's a whole school of thought around in Facebook about, trying to get people to basically open up and tell you their deepest, darkest desires on Facebook, right? Like Darren Little does this. Darren Little teaches this, where basically, and he's super good at it. He can engage people in a conversation on Facebook in such a way that they drop all their pretenses and they really get vulnerable, and they tell them like, man, I'm behind on my mortgage and I have all this credit card debt and my mom is sick, and like they'll really tell them the dirt, right? And then that kind of makes it easier. It builds this trust to then make an offer and have that work. Now, you don't have to do it that way depending on what you're offering. That is my view on it. But then at some point, you need to qualify the person. And so that's kind of a question right there. And qualification really just is like, is this person actually somebody who is the right fit for my offer? Does my offer actually apply to this person? Right? So in the haircut example, we were just asking, our qualifying question was, so do you like hair salon services? Do you like getting facials and manicures and haircuts and stuff? Do you like that? Right? Because if the girl was like, I cut my hair myself in the bathroom, I just take some scissors and I do it myself, and I've never even been to a salon, it's just not my thing, then obviously we're not going to sell her this haircut deal, right? We're just not going to. So for any offer, there's some question that you can ask the person to determine whether or not, you should keep talking to them or not, basically. And if they answer in such a way that tells you that they are somebody who would be interested, then you can invite them to take a look at what you're doing. Now, a lot of the time in network marketing, people use a qualifying question of something like, hey, so I don't know if this would be for you, but like, just let me know if you're at all open to other ways of making money or something like that. Or like, are you totally married to what you're doing now, or are you at all open to looking at other options for making money? You know, there's some variation of basically that question is what a lot of people use. Obviously, if your offer is more specific, then you can use a more specific question. Like for mine, like when I'm offering this course that I sell on Facebook marketing, you know, my qualifying question is like, so I've been teaching people how to get like crazy high engagement on Facebook and make multiple sales per day in their business just using their Facebook profile. Is that something you would be interested in learning? Right? And they'll tell me yes or no. If they go, no, I'm not really into that, I'm doing something else, then I don't invite them to take a look at my page. And if they say, yeah, of course that would be of value, then I go, cool, check it out. So that's step 4, invite, right? Once the person has indicated that they might be interested in what you're offering, then you invite them to take a look at what you're doing. So obviously that's just a simple, hey, check this out. And then there's the presentation. And the key thing with the presentation, guys, is that you should not ever be doing the presentation yourself. The presentation should be on video. Okay, like what's the point of doing marketing on the internet if you're not using video presentations? You should not ever be explaining anything about your opportunity to a person, ever. Right? That is a waste of time and it does not work. So you got to think of yourself as simply your only job is to get people curious enough to go watch a video. That's all you're doing here. See, people get all hung up about this selling thing, especially when it comes to network marketing for some reason. But if network marketing, like you're not even doing the selling. At least you shouldn't be. You should have a video that sells the person on the opportunity or on the product. If you don't have a video, my God, get a better offer. Like, do not be trying to convince people, telling people on Facebook in Facebook chat, like all about how your comp plan works and stuff. That is a waste of time, right? The person says, yeah, I'm open to another way of making money on the internet or something. And you go, awesome, watch this. There's the link, right? So what I love about this and what I love about this industry, guys, is for that very reason that like nobody really likes selling, right? And we don't have to. We're not selling. We're not selling. There is no like hard close here. There's no moment where, like in the haircut business, what sucked about it was that we had to do the presentation ourselves and then ask for the money, and it was uncomfortable, right? We had to be like, blah, 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 every time, go through the whole thing of what you get and here's what it is. And then we were like, so give us the money. And that's awkward, right? And the girl's like, what? You want me to give you money now? I don't understand. Like, I thought this, what? Like, no, that's not how hair salons work. And we're like, yeah, just give me your credit card. And right? And it felt sleazy and scammy and like nobody likes that, right? But with network marketing, especially online, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is get people to watch a video, okay? So they watch the presentation and then there's follow-up. So follow-up. This is another area where people's understanding of how this works breaks down. A lot of people will think that if you just get people to see the presentation or send them to a link to a YouTube video or something, that's it. They're going to buy and you're going to make the money and that's all you're going to have to do. And that is wrong. Most people, the vast majority of people, are not going to buy what you're selling on the first exposure. See, with the haircut thing, if we had been able to take the girls who said no and follow up with them over time, way, way more of them would have ended up buying this product, right? The first time you encounter something that's being sold to you, the first initial human response is, ooh, that looks interesting, but I'm going to have to think about it. I don't want to get suckered in right away. I'm going to have to think about it, right? And so you walk away, and then if you keep seeing it over and over again, and you keep being interested, and you keep kind of wanting it, then eventually you're going to buy it, right? That's just how human psychology works. almost nobody sees something and buys it right away the first time they've seen it. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's like a pair of shoes, right? You know that pair of shoes that you've been eyeing, at the shoe store or online for a month, and you keep on telling yourself you don't need the shoes, but you keep on looking at them. Eventually, you're going to buy those shoes, right? But you're probably not going to just walk into a shoe store and buy the first pair of shoes that you see unless you really need a pair of shoes. But anyway, point is, it's very important to follow up with people. And, again, the beautiful part of this industry is we have a lot of this stuff automated, right? The presentation should be a video, and the follow-up needs to be your email follow-up campaigns, right? You shouldn't be having to follow up with people one at a time. I read this book. I have it around here somewhere. I read this book, this guy Fraser Brooks, who's a big network marketing guru, wrote this book called I Dare You. And I guess he was trying to pitch it at people who were like not into technology, but he didn't talk about autoresponders at all. I mean, there's a lot of things that I didn't like about that book, actually, that I kind of disagree with his whole method in that book. But one of the things that I thought was crazy is he expected people to like keep a notebook and write down like who you've talked to and when, and then come like circle back to them a week later and talk to them again, and just like keep doing that with hundreds and hundreds of people. It's like, that seems like a pain in the ass to me. So what I do and what I teach is get a dang email autoresponder, right? There are tools, guys, that make this stuff really easy. One of them is, having a sales funnel creation software. There's a few of those that you can use, and maybe I'll put a link or something under here where you can check out how to get those. But you need to have a page where someone enters their email address before they go to your presentation, right? And then you've got their email address, you've got permission to communicate with them, and you can send them emails. Now, obviously, there is an art and a science to how to communicate with people through your email broadcasts that you're doing in your follow-up series in such a way that gets them interested. But honestly, the main thing is doing it consistently. A lot of people just can't get it together to send out consistent emails to their list if they even have a list. And that is just killing your chances, right? So after they see the presentation, the must is follow-up. And again, there's all these amazing tools that we have at our disposal as marketers that allow us to automate this. Heck, I mean, I have one of the businesses that I'm in now is a tool that automatically follows up with people via text message. There's a phone number that they call, and if they're interested, they press 1 and they get sent a text, and you can send out text message broadcasts. There's an artificial intelligence that will have a real conversation with the person over text messages. Like, the technology is incredible here, guys. The technology here is incredible that allows you to automate this stuff. Right? We have email autoresponders. We have text message autoresponders. It's so easy, and yet people don't do it. People just send the person to a presentation and then hope that they buy, and that just doesn't work. Okay. And then obviously 7 is handle questions. Now, if you're in a network marketing company, sometimes people think they have to know the answer to every single question. You don't, guys. You just have to have somebody in the company who can answer the question, right? Like, so many times I've been in a company or something and somebody asks me some wacky question. Actually, it doesn't happen very often, but when somebody does ask me a question that I don't know the answer to, I just ask my sponsor, or I ask, I go on the Facebook. There's always a Facebook group for these companies, right? Just go in there and ask somebody. Get back to the person. So handling the question, like answering the questions, is not hard. One of the things that people also screw up with this is that the person will ask questions that are kind of indicating their doubt about it. Like, they'll be like, is this a scam? Those types of questions. And it can be very tempting when you're new, especially to then in your answers try to convince the person to buy, Be like, no, it's not a scam. It's really cool. Like, check this out. It's definitely not a scam. You know, this is how it works and blah, blah, blah. And like try to get them to buy. The correct answer to is this a scam is haha, no. In other words, when you're handling questions, if you just answer the question and then leave it, it works way better than if you answer the question and then try to sell them on the thing again. You see, I don't care if someone buys or not. When they're asking a question, I just answer the question, and if they don't buy it, that's fine. I don't care. I have no interest in trying to convince somebody to join my business or buy my product if they're not interested. I have no interest in doing that. And neither should you, because it sucks and it doesn't even really work, guys. I mean, yeah, if you're like really into sales, you can sort of use some psychological tricks to try to manipulate people or something, but nobody wants to do that. And most of the time it doesn't really work, right? Like either the person wants it or they don't want it. Okay? Now, so this is the 7 steps, guys. And a lot of the time what people do, people mess up on each one of these steps, right? Either it's they're not contacting anyone because they're afraid to communicate, you know, and they don't have the money to buy ads, so they're just not contacting enough people, or they're not willing to communicate themselves, or they're not able to get people into communication properly. So it breaks down at step number 2. Qualifying, a lot of people just don't even know how to do that. But a lot of the issue is that people are going from step 1 all the way to step 5, you know. You'll get these messages on Facebook where it's like, hello, sir, my name is such and such, and I'm with this company, and here's our whole comp plan, and blah, 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 and this is why you should join. It's the best opportunity in the world, right? Without even asking if I'm remotely interested, they'll just start trying to pitch me on their idea or on their company, right? That doesn't work. It's just annoying. Stop doing that, okay? You have to go through the steps. I'm not going to buy if I'm not interested, right? So don't show me a presentation if you haven't qualified and invited me. You can't qualify me unless I'm willing to communicate. And you can't communicate with me if you haven't contacted me. You see, so it has to be in this order. This is not the 7 steps because I said that they're the 7 steps. This is the 7 steps because this is how people work, right? You can't have one without the step before it. You have to contact the person first, then you have to communicate with them, then you have to qualify them, then you invite them, then the presentation, then you follow up and you handle questions. Works every single time, and there is no pressuring or persuading or convincing that needs to be done ever. Ever. So this really isn't like sales. In the network marketing industry, the presentation is done for you. You don't have to sell anything. You just have to find the people who are interested and get them to watch the video, and then keep following up with them so that they see it over and over and over and over and over again. That's it. That's all you have to do. So if you're afraid of sales, you're afraid of doing this, don't be. Your job is not to sell. Your job is to find people to communicate with. All right, so don't be afraid of communication. This is a numbers game. You just have to contact enough people and be willing to communicate with them. The ones that are interested, you send them to the presentation. All right? Cool, guys. People make this way too complicated. And this is like one of the easiest industries in the world to be successful at if you understand this. It's just not hard. So, yeah, maybe I'll put some links below this. You can check out some of the stuff that I talked about in this video. Again, I have a Facebook course. I have a whole course about how to do this on Facebook, how to get really high engagement on Facebook, how to use Facebook to get tons of free traffic, which is basically step 1, contacting people, right? Building an audience, getting people to talk to, and how to turn them into sales every single day in your business. You can check that out at williamjamestraining.com. And I'll put some links below to check out the email autoresponder service that I use. the email opt-in page builder that I use. And I'll show you guys the artificial intelligence phone system that I mentioned as well. That's pretty cool too. So if you're interested in those, check those out. And otherwise, I will see you on the next video. All right, bye.